I cannot believe what the Clippers did this morning to Chris Paul. Apparently, Chris Haynes reported last night, or I guess it wasn't last night. It was like, it was last night. It was like middle of the night, basically. That the Clippers are sending home future Hall of Fame point guard Chris Paul in a bizarre severing ties move. League sources tell me. Bizarre is the right word. I'm going to get into Chris Paul's legacy a little bit here in this video, but let's just put things very simply. The Clippers were basically an afterthought prior to Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and a few other guys, DeAndre Jordan, of course, Jamal Crawford, JJ Redick, lifting this team up into real relevance, real contention, and making them one of the most popular, exciting, and fun teams in the 2010s. Lob City was a great era of Clippers basketball, and I would say it was the first truly great extended era of Clippers basketball. I think it was a huge part in bringing in what they have now, which, to be fair, basketball-wise, isn't a ton, but an amazing arena, an incredible rich owner, all these types of things. And they've had a lot of drama the last couple of years despite all of this, like the aspiration stuff going on with Kawhi Leonard, which I've never talked about on this channel, but certainly seems weird, and certainly seems like there's still probably some stuff there that is yet to be resolved for sure. Not to mention, this is absurd. I mean, this is legitimately one of the craziest things I have ever seen from what is being reported. And Shams came out and says this. Chris Paul was apparently vocal in holding management, coaches, and players accountable. The Clippers saw that as disruptive, and he wasn't on speaking terms with CP3. Ty Lue wasn't for the last few weeks. Bizarre. Legitimately bizarre. This is the tweet that Shams put out this morning. What? I think this is a pretty accurate comment, honestly. Hall of Famer released for being a professional on a team with no professionals. That is pretty much my takeaway from what is going on in the Clippers. I have made multiple videos already about how disastrous their season has been. They are going to wind up giving a lottery pick, likely a high lottery pick, to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They don't control any of their draft assets for the next 2 years. Their roster is extremely old. They don't really have a lot of quality young talent. They're in a disastrous spot regardless. But your future Hall of Fame point guard, who is the best point guard in your franchise's history, one of the greatest players in your franchise's history, and the guy that was one of the biggest parts, if not maybe the biggest part, of dragging your team into cultural, media, financial relevancy, and not just being little brother to the Lakers and opening up all the things that they have now, including this amazing arena and all this stuff. You're going to disrespect that guy and send him home because he's a leader and he's expecting accountability from his teammates and coaches? Unbelievable. Legitimately unbelievable. Unless there is more to this story that is not being reported that clearly paints Chris Paul in a worse light, which who knows, maybe there is something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. This is a disastrous look for the Clippers organization, which already, by the way, has been under a lot of scrutiny for how poorly they've managed their roster, for poor decisions, and obviously the questions with the aspiration scandal and the whole Pablo Torres thing and all that type of stuff. But this is terrible. If there's not more to this, this is awful. And here's the thing. I understand if you want to go, okay, basketball-wise, he's not very good anymore. He's averaging 3 points a game, 3 assists a game. The assist-turnover stuff's still great, but he's extremely inefficient. He's old, he's small, he's not competitive defensively the way he once was. Sure, there are areas to criticize about Chris Paul, the basketball player, this year. It doesn't matter. He is a franchise legend who has come home for his retirement tour final season, and you're just gonna toss him aside like he's some nobody. I just can't even wrap my mind around the level of disrespect it takes to make that decision. And here's my thought. I'm gonna be honest, I've never been the biggest Chris Paul fan. I don't love Chris Paul. I think his attitude might be a little off-putting. I think that's something that we've seen before. I wouldn't be shocked if there was some controversy and some butting of heads, I guess, in the Clippers organization between other players and coaches and CP. I could see that. At the same time, I just don't think it matters. This is one of the greatest players you've ever seen. And you know it would be a great way for a great player who hasn't won a ring and has now kind of been disrespected by one of his franchises, one of his main franchises that he called home. I think a great way for his career to end, call me crazy, would be as a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The reason I say that, Chris Paul actually started his career technically in OKC because of Hurricane Katrina, either his first or second year, I forget which, but he played in OKC because obviously they didn't play in New Orleans that year. He also spent a year with OKC in Shea's first year at OKC, led that team that was expected to be terrible to the playoffs. They took the Rockets to Game 7, a very good Rockets team. Chris Paul was a really, really key piece of that team. Great player, great person, great leader. They seemed to love him. He was a big mentor to SGA. That extra relationship has clearly extended and continued even into now. That's the perfect opportunity for him. Number one, to have a chance to win a ring. Number two, to have a chance to end his career kind of sort of where he started it. And number three, end it in an environment that loves him, with a fan base that loves him. Players, including the main player, SGA, who loves him. I have not looked at OKC's roster. I don't know if they have a roster spot open for him. I don't know how possible that is. But I will say that to me seems like the ideal outcome here. I have a hard time believing Chris Paul's okay with this being the end of his career, where he's just going to be like, okay, I was unceremoniously sent home by the Clippers. I'm done. I'm not playing anymore. This is it. I have to think he wants to end his career on his own terms. And even if that doesn't mean playing a huge role on the court for a contending team, that time is probably past at this point. I would love to see him in OKC as a veteran leader, a guy who Shea loves, and getting an opportunity to try to win a ring. I would love to see him on another contending team in a similar role, in all honesty. And I don't know what other teams that would be. I mean, I've heard people suggest the Bucks. They're 9-13 and they have questions about Giannis's future. I really don't know what's going on there, and those questions are becoming worse by the day. People said the Mavs, but Ryan Nembhard has played well. I don't see why the Mavs would want to bring in Chris Paul and play Ryan Nembhard less, especially considering the Mavs aren't good and will at some point get Kyrie Irving back probably. And I mean, otherwise, I'm sure there are lots of playoff teams you could be like, okay, maybe. Does he go back to the Spurs and sit the bench? They're not going to play him over De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Ron Harper, or not Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle. He doesn't really have a role, but I just wonder, what is the fit? Where does he go back to end his career? I really don't know, but I'm hoping this isn't the end for Chris Paul. I hope he gets an opportunity to really, truly have at least a certain amount of a retirement tour where he, as one of the greatest point guards in NBA history and one of the more impactful players of the last 20 years or so, gets an opportunity to end his career in a place that respects him, with a team that respects him and a fan base that supports him and all that type of stuff. I think he deserves as much for all he has given to the NBA, and specifically for all he gave to the Clippers. It should have happened there. This is a terrible, terrible look for the Clippers franchise, unless there is a lot of information that we do not know about, because what is being reported now makes the Clippers front office look awful, makes their coaching staff look bad. It just is a terrible look on that entire team. Another terrible look on that entire team. This isn't a new thing with the Clippers, unfortunately, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.